Welcome to the graffiti jungle. Follow Pulingue. Benvenuti nella giungla del graffiti. Questo è impostore, rockstar. It's a fake rockstar chat show podcast. We've been working on it. I ain't do the intro right. So now I want to go. Welcome to the graffiti jungle. Follow Pulingue. Benvenuti nella giungla del graffiti. Questo è impostore, rockstar. It's a fake rockstar chat show. Pensieri Tangentiali, formerly known as Tangential Thought Chat Show. You working on a podcast every now and again. Sono to Cabo Yo Sono. Chief Gihareh, Caesar Augustus. Let me just tag some Samurai Champloo merch since that's what we're watching. Alright, we're on episode 9. So this is going to Samurai Champloo episode recap, reaction, review, episode 9. All right, couple of things. I'm just going to be, I try to be objective, but I have my own biases and opinions. Now, it is something that I noticed in Bebop and something I noticed in here. Samurai Champloo is beautiful. However, I still, if I have to give it a knock, and if I have to knock it for anything, it's the art of storytelling. Now, the reason I say this is because sometimes you're watching the show and it's like, okay, well, what's going to happen next? And sometimes, there's something that needs to happen next. What up, what up, what up, what up? What's up, Jackie? So sometimes it's what needs to happen next. So you get what I'm trying to say? Like, you could be watching something, and you know yourself, like, okay, this is what needs to happen next. If to like move forward or something, like something has to happen, right? And so like the injection of those type of moments and points are they just happen type of thing. I have a headache. Right now. I don't know what to do about that. So yeah, I just have a headache. We just gotta sit through it. The phone is okay. The iPad is charging. That's why I didn't do both at the same time. I didn't do a live. I didn't just watch it and then as I was watching it, talk about it. So this one, nothing. This is what you can kind of sort of like a filler episode. This is episode 9. There's no progression of the plot or anything like that. They don't do anything. So how does this one episode start? It starts off with a guy who is apparently like security checkpoint for what you call it. I don't do nothing. I'm gonna just have to wait. I'm gonna just have to stick this out and go to sleep. The guy who works at the checkpoint, I guess like it's like for us we have a toll. Like you got to pay a toll to get through or to certain cities, like going from Jersey to New York or going from New York to Connecticut. Like it's mainly up north, but it ain't really down south. So there's like a checkpoint to leave Edo, right? And so the guy is like this older man. He's like, and so this young guy's talking to him. He's like, "You haven't let anybody come through this checkpoint ever. Like you always got this thing on lock. This and the third one." He said something to that effect. Yeah, I ain't really down south here. So it's one of the joints. Then the guy was like, "Well, actually, yeah, there was a day. There was a day where, but it's not in his logbook, but he remembers it." So he was like, "There was a day that everybody came through. It didn't matter who it was or what was going on." All right, if you're gonna sit there and do that, I'm gonna block you. Like I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna block you. You can't just you can't keep copy and pasting the same proverb or message. Like everybody, if you want people to read the book, you need to say other parts and how they're applicable to your life. That's why when I do it, I be like niggalations. This is what this shit sound like to me. It sound like Jesus was a pimp. So from over there, um, it was so the guy goes back and he remembers this day. It was one day that people were just coming through the checkpoint or whatever. And so he's just reminiscing on that day, which was 30 years ago. I'm not sure. I still don't know what year that they're in, but he was like, it's 30 years ago. And so Mugen, Jean, and Fu are coming up to the checkpoint. And as they're going to the checkpoint, they don't have travel passes, like basically like a passport, like say, hey, I'm a citizen, or I can just move through or travel through. So they don't have travel passes. So they need one, right? So they're like, all right, this one guy, he comes up there and he says, here's a whatchamacallit. You don't care about none of that stuff. I ain't reading it. I'm talking about Samurai Champloo. So the guy, he says, if y'all need some passes to go through the whatchamacallit, then um, then here's some passes, some travel passes. So they get to the checkpoint, right? And the guy was like, these are fake. These are forgeries. Arrest them. So they get arrested. Mugen, Jin, and Fu get arrested at the checkpoint. Now, what happens from here, they send Mugen off. So basically, the guy who's like running the checkpoint, he cannot have like, he was supposed to, they're looking for somebody. And apparently the person that they're looking for had came to the checkpoint, but they had already like, took them out. And so they was like, oh man, um, well, we need you to deliver this head. So they sent Mugen, and it was like, yeah, if you don't make it back by sundown, then we're just gonna get rid of Fugen. We're gonna get rid of Fu and Jing, right? So Mugen is out here. Yeah, all right, yeah, I got it. Yep. What are we talking about? What you talking about them Tengu people? So apparently it's like some people who like live in like the bush, not the bushes, but they're like the people of the forest or whatever. Right? It's these people who live in like. So if you come through this little area, they'll get you. So it was one of them type of journeys. So Mugen starts off on a journey. He's supposed to be back by sunset. He's supposed to deliver the head and then come back by sunset. Mugen is running. Da da da. He's like, somebody swallow me. And then he approaches this one guy. He's like, why are you following me? He's like, bro, I'm just. And so the one guy's like, yeah, I'm just out here for a jog. There was an actual guy following him, right? And this is the younger version of the guy who was at the old man who was like in the beginning was like, yeah, there was a day 30 years ago where everybody saying third. It's the younger version of him, and he's remembering the day that all of this happened. So he's actually following Mugen. Then when I get the joke in this episode is like Fu and Jean are sitting there and they're just like, so Jean doesn't say much, but every time Fu is like, you don't think he got caught by those Tengu people, do you? Jean's like, hmm. And so like he actually did get caught. He got caught. That was the thing. And then after that, let's see. So he gets caught by those people. He's like running and then he like falls into like this little trap. That's one. After falling into the trap, they like, whatchamacallit? No. They wrap him up in this straw mat or whatever. And then the younger version of the guy, he comes to like help Mugen, but then somebody gets him. So then both him and Mugen are trapped. Mind you, Mugen was supposed to deliver this head and be back by sundown for Fu and Jing. And now the guy Mugen and the guy following Mugen are both done, right? They're both in this trauma. But that guy actually he's like and so Mugen's like, you're pretty fragile though, aren't you? Like something like that. So he starts whatever. He's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's a skill or whatever. Certain type of people are just like either really flexible. I think it's a contortionist. I seen one girl do a handstand. Yeah. Anyway. So it was one of them. he was like, what do we got? And then he gets out of it, and then he takes off Mugen's shoe and he starts his fire, right? Now, the people that kidnapped them, the people that kidnapped them, they had some like crops, right? They had crops, and this and the third. It's I don't think it specifies what the crop is. Now, there's a reason I say this because this is how this whole whatchamacallit. So like, yeah, we got the crops and we do a revolution, da 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 boom boom, right? And so the dude starts a fire. The whole fire basically sets ablaze the whole village town or whatever, right? And so this is actually pretty whatchamacallit, right? This is actually pretty whatchamacallit. You did pretty good. You did pretty good. I will say that I'll give you props. You're still getting blocked. But you at least got through the whatchamacallit. You got to split the word up. You had to split the word up. You at least got through it. I give you props for that, but you're blocked now. So then the thing is, the whole thing gets set on fire. Mugen is doing this whole little like he's like getting not they're not even like getting away. They trap Mugen and the other guy who was supposed to be running the whatchamacallit. They trapped them, but they trapped him again. It's like, oh, you thought you was getting away? I guess we was trying to whatchamacallit to yes to tomorrow or whatever, but I guess it's gonna happen today, right? So then it cuts back to Gene and Fu. It cuts back to Gene and Fu. Gene and Fu was like, uh, so I'm trying to remember what the other jokes were, but every time Fu was like, "Do you think this happened?" And Gene was like, "Hmm." Every time, but that's actually what happened. So it would happen, something would happen, and then Fu would be like, "You don't think this happened, do you? Hmm. You don't think this happened, do you? Hmm." So like all of those are whatchamacallits, right? That was like one of the running jokes. And then what happens from there? So let's go. So again, there was an actual guy who's working the thing. He followed Mugen. They get and then he ended up getting caught as well. They set the whole thing on fire. But remember the guy who was running this whole little of those little tingle people who was like the forest people. They actually had crops and whatnot. But they set the whole thing on fire. That got set on fire. So Mugen and no, I mean Fu and Jean are like, hey, well maybe that's him right there. Somebody's coming up over the horizon. And it just happened to be the same guy who was out for a jog earlier that Mugen thought was following him, right? So they're like, yep, I guess it's time for you guys to whatchamacallit. He ain't make it back, da da da, right? And then there's like this smoky air type of thing. It's a purple, whatchamacallit. It's like this purplish type of haze that starts to come up onto the screen and through the air, right? Now, technically, what ended up happening was um, this purplish air coming up through the fire, through the air in the center third. Everybody starts laughing, and they end up laughing for the whole night. And no, Fu and Jean basically kind of get away in a sense, and they're just like, we just gotta be thankful that that even happened. We don't know what happened, but we gotta be thankful that happened, right? And so Fool's like, can you believe Mugen? Can you just believe he ran off like that? And this and the third, boom, boom, boom. And as they're walking, they see Mugen is still on the ground, laughing and giggling, and this and the third. And so, um, technically, what happened was whatever crops, mind you, the whole thing got set on fire. Wherever those crops were, that just sent up this, haze, purple haze through the air. Basically, had everybody laughing and giggling and just chilling. It was a one night thing, and it just happened. But that's basically what happened. Now, what does this remind me of? What does it make me think of? And it's like certain scenes to keep in context. Now, on Joe Rogan's podcast, he does either he mentioned it or one of his guests mentioned it. Hey, appreciate that. I gotta do a freestyle. Appreciate that. Now, on Joe Rogan's podcast, he does mention either Joe mentions it or one of his guests mentions it. It's something to think about. Something to think about. But they talk about how, you know, back in the day, certain times, either you do or don't know about this and the third. Mind you, there were these people that were living and they said, yeah, we have these crops. So whatever it is that they're growing, whatever plant it is that they're growing, right? They set a fire. This fire lights up all of these plants and they burn on these crops or whatever, but it releases something into the air that just has everybody laughing, giggling, chilling, and just like, ha ha, he, whatchamacallit. You see what I'm saying? So, uh, what I heard once on Joe Rogan's podcast is that it's something like Moses at the burning bush. What if, can't prove or disprove, a burning bush, whatever this plant, vegetation, whatever this is that is growing out the ground or whatever, that just happen to get sets on fire, and the conversation is Moses probably got high and hadn't started having, whatever these visions, drink, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying, and going from there. It's those types of things, dialogue, conversation. That's what this episode reminds me of. That's what this episode reminds me of. And um, just the logic, the rhetoric. It's the logic and rhetoric that just reminds me of. All right. Now we got a gift, we got a super chat. We got a gift, we got a super chat. So let's do a slight little freestyle. Eat the cake, anime. No anime discussion. But if you play the drums, percussion. Explain Lil Wayne. You thought Lil Wayne was Weezy, but Weezy is Wayne. Through the membrane. I'm trying to see. I'm trying to see if we can get. I'm trying to see if I can get a little more. Travis, no Hunter. He plays wide receiver, not punter. Okay. Let me see. Let me see if I get one more. Let me see. We got a super chat. Let me see one more. I'm trying to see if I can run something with Spencer. But see, it's easy if I say. So if I'm trying to find something that rhymes with Spencer. But I play Pokemon. You know Pokemon I'm gonna say? Pincer. But I'm trying to find a word in real English. Let me see. Travis, no Hunter, play wide receiver, not a punter. Spencer, no Pokemon, Pincer. But let me see if I can get one more. Let me see if I can get some. Let me see if I actually find an English word. Okay. I mean, it's easy, but we would say it kind of sort of works. So with Spencer, you can say no Pokemon, Pincer. But if y'all say it at the same time, Jinx, poke, and pinch her, that rhymes with Spencer. Grazie is how you say thank you in Italian. Prego is how you say you're welcome in Italian. Travis, no Hunter. He played wide receiver, no punter. Travis, Spencer. If y'all say it at the same time, Jinx, poke, pincher, that rhymes with Spencer. Grazie is how you say thank you in Italian. Prego is how you say you're welcome in Italian. Grazie mille. We got a super chat. So this was episode 8. And Yeah, I have a headache, man. I have a headache, but I have nothing. Like we played the whatchamacallit. Um, no, I don't know what it is. We played Pokemon today. We didn't play Metroid today. Hey, I'm just trying to see if there's anything else to like. And it's like kind of sort of nothing. It's kind of sort of nothing. So, but let me keep this one for Samurai Champloo episode 8 anime review, recap, reaction.